Dan Schofield joins us from Forsyth Barr, where he's at the captain's run. He's from the Telegraph out of England. Thank you so much for joining us, mate. Welcome to New Zealand.
Thank you very much.
Is this your first visit?
I was over for a little bit of the World Cup, but first time in Dunedin, and I can see why it lives up to the Edinburgh of New Zealand type sort of moniker. It's very, very pretty and glorious in the winter sunshine.
And that stadium, a real peach. We consider it our best in the country, and you'll find out tomorrow night why it has a roof and why it is so good it does.
Yeah, Ollie Lawrence today was saying that they're expecting it to be very, very loud, and I guess there's only so much you can do to prepare for that. And people can tell you it's going to be loud and it's going to be hot and humid under the roof, but they probably won't know what's hit them until the ball's kicked off.
Look, talk to us about this England side. And when Sever Reece says he doesn't really know that much about the players, I think for a lot of All Black fans as well. Look, we watch the Six Nations and so forth. I don't know how much of the domestic competitions are watched by that many people. But just in terms of relative strength of this side compared to the side that did really well to get within a point of making the World Cup final last year.
Yeah, and probably the thing that surprised us more about what Sevi was saying was about the sort of high ball kick chase tactics, which England still do very well, but they've evolved considerably since the World Cup. They didn't start the Six Nations particularly well, that they lost playing pretty poorly up in Murrayfield against Scotland. And that seemed to be a sort of line in the sand for them. They really used the sort of 2 weeks after that to sort of try and expand their attacking game, and went and beat Ireland, who obviously ended up winning the Six Nations Championship, and then ran France really close, playing what was a very sort of, I think everyone was surprised how quickly that evolution took place and how well England were playing sort of fast attacking rugby that you probably didn't see at last year's World Cup. In fact, you definitely didn't see that from England.
I watched, I got up in the morning and watched the game against Ireland. I thought you were excellent that day, Dan. I really did. I thought that, the style of rugby was brilliant. Just the self-belief to keep attacking that particular team, to counter-punch and come back and back and back at an Irish team, which normally just bludgeons its way to victory. If that's the blueprint that Borthwick is looking at, if that's how he wants to play, I thought that was really impressive.
Yeah, and in fairness to Steve Borthwick, he's sort of seen quite a few quarters as quite a conservative coach. He's very data driven, and it takes credit to him to sort of for him to sort of throw off the shackles and allow the players to sort of take control of the attack. Obviously, that they are still playing to a structure of sorts. It's not just barbarians rugby, but they played with a freedom and a flair that I don't think has been associated with England for some time, probably even going back to the sort of 2019 World Cup, which we still use as our high watermark, that semi-final defeat of the All Blacks.
And so you goddamn should, because the way that we look at it is from that particular point on. The truth of the matter, Dan, is even though a lot of All Black fans are blinkered about this, and our mainstream media certainly seem to be, since that time, most of those players are still playing for the All Blacks, and we have lost a lot of games in the last 4 years, and we aren't the team that was the team between 2011 and 2016. So do you see that as a weakness, or do you think that the experience of those players, despite the results, which aren't All Black-like results, is actually more of a benefit for this current lot?
Yeah, I'll be very careful with what I say next, because I'm sure it will come back to bite me. But I don't think this All Blacks team necessarily has the aura of previous teams. When we think of the sort of teams that England were getting pumped by when they came over here, I think it was 2008 and 2014 when you had your Carters, McCaw, Kano, all those guys who were sort of legends of the game. You would certainly put Ardie Sevilla in that category. beyond that, I'm not quite sure, and I'm sure these players will evolve and go on to become world-class players, but maybe they don't have that. Certainly, in 2014, 2008, England teams coming over here expected to be beaten. This England team comes over here thinking they've got a real chance, even though they're going to be incredibly respectful and polite when there's microphones in front of them.
You've said it, I think, as delicately as you could say it. But Dan, it's the truth. You know, an All Black, let's call it, I hate the word brand, but the All Black aura, the All Black legend of this invincibility of when you run out to play the All Blacks, you're 10 points behind, of these guys are the best players in the world individually in their positions. Look, the only thing that we measure the All Blacks by, it's not Instagram likes, it's not streaming downloads, it's bloody wins, mate. And over the last 4 years, we've lost 12 and drawn 2. That is not All Black like.
No, and as I said, I do think the England are coming here with quiet confidence, but I've also been surprised by the level of trepidation, not just from the All Blacks camps, but just around I think the cliche is when you come over here, you get taxi drivers telling you that we're going to have 40 points put on us, and that there's a sort of and I mean this in a sort of as a compliment, but there's a sort of cocksure attitude.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. Yes.
It's just sort of taken as a given, but there's not that. And who knows? Like they might still put 30 points on England on Saturday, but I don't get the sense of confidence that you generally associate, not just with the All Blacks as a team, but the supporters as a whole. Because, like you say, the results over the last couple of years have been pretty disappointing after sort of that handsome team set such a high bar.
We have a brand new coach, of course, which is always galvanising, isn't it? It renews confidence. It's like, your favourite football team when they get rid of the manager, everyone grows an extra leg for a couple of games, don't they? How much of that are you expecting? And also just, I suppose, it's not the myth around Scott Robertson. The guy has overachieved in everything that he's done. So it's what that man and that name can bring to this bunch of players.
Yeah, and I think he was obviously the right appointment for the All Blacks. I was surprised again. I don't think he's particularly comfortable in a sort of press conference environment, or maybe with the amount of cameras that are on him at the moment. He seems quite nervous that he's wearing the weight of that expectation, and beginnings matter, don't they? Like it sets the tone for what's to come, and if New Zealand win on Saturday, I'd fully expect them to sort of make it 2-0 at Eden Park. But if they lose, then suddenly the narrative of his reign it sort of starts off on the wrong foot. So you can understand why he looks like he's feeling the pressure of the role.